Today is a very special episode because this is my first full-blown total Redskins episode dedicated strictly to my favorite team. I know a lot of you people out there already know what my favorite team is. I keep it no secret. But today, I have to address a topic that I really tried to stay away from for a very long time because I know that it's a very hotbed topic that, gets people emotions all riled up. We got the whole controversy about the Redskins name. And, it's really ironic because, it's actually only a coincidence that this show was going on the day after a certain commercial aired last night during the NBA Finals. I'm going to touch on that in 1 second. Because I actually was planning this earlier before I even knew about this commercial, but I'm actually glad that commercial aired right before the show aired because I would have had to do a whole nother show on that, so I can address all that now. But, in a little bit, we're going to have some very special guests, we're going to actually get a chance to hear from certain people that you never get to hear from on this topic. And we're going to get to them in just a few minutes. I just want to walk everybody through how I feel about this. Now, I can't speak for so much, me being a black man, I can't really speak for so much about what this name means to another Native American. But as a Redskin fan, I can tell you what the name means to me. Now, became a Redskin fan, me being born and raised, I'm not from the D.C. area. I was born and raised in Jersey, North New Jersey to be exact. And one of the things that made me gravitate to the Redskins was the fact that they actually embraced the Native American culture. Because, as a child, I was raised by some parents who just so happened to be free thinkers. A lot of you guys would probably consider them free thinkers in the day's world. Back then they was, considered something else, but they was free thinkers. And, they taught me at a very early age that everything that you read in these school books isn't always accurate. So while I was like wise beyond my years when it came to people of my age group, and, when we was all little kids and everybody was thinking, the whole, way this country got, the way it is today all started with, a big, everything was all roses with the Pilgrims and the Native Americans and everything else. I learned at a very early age. It didn't exactly go down the way the books was trying to tell it. So I always grew up, real sympathetic towards the Native American plight of this country, so to speak, because, like, as a black man, I could tell you no other culture in this country has been treated worse than the Native American culture. Like, it's sad to think about everything that went down with this group of people. And it's like the only people that's been done worse than black people in America is them. I mean, everything that got done to us happened on their land that got taken from them. So, like, I always was sympathetic to it. And, like I said, one of the things that made me become a Redskin fan was the fact that, I always looked at the name as being, about tradition, honor, strength, and everything else, as a lot of other Redskin fans will attest to. I'm sure they felt the same way. And, when I first heard about this, now, like I said before, I was raised in North New Jersey, so sad to say there's really not a large Native American population up here that I know about. Like, I never really had full-blooded Native Americans in my lifetime just because there's not a large population of Native Americans up here. So I knew nothing about all this growing up until one day, living in North New Jersey, like I said, one of my main sources of information as far as the Redskins go was the George Michael sports machine, like, 'cause I didn't have cable at the time, so, and George Michaels was based out of the D.C. area, and he came on once a week up here, 12 o'clock, Sunday nights. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I used to always watch him just to get my Redskins scoop for the week, because that was like my main source of Redskin news. So one week he runs a story about a group of Native Americans that's protesting all sports teams. They was protesting all sports teams that represented Native American culture. It wasn't just us. It was us. It was the Blackhawks. It was a bunch of college teams that I remember. St. John's being one of them. Me being from up here, I remember that being a big deal up here. They was when they was made them change their name, because they was formerly known as the Redmen, and now they're known as the Red Storm. But at the time, they were still the Redmen. And I remember it was this big campaign, and I remember the main focus of the campaign was our name. It was the Redskins. And I was taken aback at the time, because this was the first time I've ever heard of this. So I was confused on why they actually felt this way and why so strongly about us. Like, because I'm going to be honest with you, out of all the Native American logos, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Redskin fan, out of all the Native American logos, to me, ours is the most respectful out of every last one of them. I mean, like, I could kind of understand how somebody can be a little bit offended towards the Indians logo. Even though I don't feel like they meant any disrespect, I can see how people can feel a little funny about it. So that's a whole nother issue or whatever. But I was a little bit taken aback and not understanding why it was like this. And I remember, we're going to speed it up a few years. I remember that was the only thing I ever heard about it, but that was the first time I ever heard about it. And then some years later, I remember it coming up again, and I think in the early 90s, I remember St. John's folded under the pressure, because I remember they pressured St. John's a lot. And St. John's is a religious school, and they didn't want to deal with the backlash of having the name, so they kind of gave in a little quick. And they changed their name to the Red Storm or whatever. And I remember all this like it was yesterday. And I remember they was attacking everybody. And again, our name was the main thing. And then I remember we won the court case, and I thought it was finally over with. But I remember saying to myself, I want to talk to some Native Americans about this, because everybody I kept hearing talking about this, because the Native Americans I seen talking about this was mainly people that you could kind of, are they really upset about this name? Or is this some type of agenda behind this? Like, why now? And why, I always wondered why. So I was like, is this really a slur? I want to know. I want to talk to gay Native American and ask them. I don't want to talk to the suit and tie guys. I don't want to talk to the guys who's living nice and everything. I want to talk to your average, everyday Native American and see what they got to think about this. Now, again, I have no full-blood Native Americans that I know about that live in my area. So we're going to fast forward to 2005. 2005, I moved down to Texas. And while I'm in Texas, I'm blown away. I had a little bit of a culture shock, because I'm looking around and I'm noticing actually now live around some actual full-blooded Native Americans. I'm seeing Native Americans everywhere I look now. I went from never seeing them to seeing them everywhere. So I got a little bit excited. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. Now, I want to ask a Native American about this, but I don't want to come across as being disrespectful, because I'm asking because I'm an inquisitive dude and I really want to know. You know what I'm saying? And they're the only ones who can really answer this question for me. So I I finally see a Native American by himself. He looking pretty cool, like approachable, and we was in Walmart. and he was checking out. He checked out right before me, and then I checked out behind him. And as I was walking out the store, I saw him on the side smoking a cigarette. I decided to approach him. And yeah, this was 2005, because this was the same year Santana Moss 2-touchdown game in Monday night. Beautiful time to be a Redskins fan in Texas. Had a sports bar. All the Cow Bitch fans were mad at me. Long story. Really don't want to get into it. Almost got in 2 fights, but I digress. I'm getting off the subject at hand. We're going to get back into it. I approached him, right? Now, I approached him. I got on my Redskin gear because I used to like trolling everybody down there. I stayed with my Redskin clothes on. And, I walked up to him and, as you can see, you see I'm a Redskin fan. I mean no disrespect, but, I never actually had a chance to ask a full-blood Native American this question, and I really want to know. Does the name bother you? Is it really a slur? And can you break down what the name means to you, so to speak? Because I want to know. I want to know, should I be ashamed of wearing this? I don't, because maybe you know something I don't. So he pretty much, he got into it, and pretty much, I'm not going to try to make a long story short. For the most part, he was like, I don't really care about the name at all. He's like, honestly, I can really care less about the name. He's like, I hate the Redskins, but I don't hate him because of the name. I hate him because he was a Cow Bitch fan, believe it or not. He was a Cow Bitch fan, so he hated the Redskins because he was a Cow Bitch fan. Okay, I understand. I get that. But it had nothing to do with the name. He said, as far as the name goes, he was like, I wouldn't press that too much. He said, honestly, that's out for some old, pretty much trying to tell me it was an agenda they got behind it or whatever. Like, it really ain't about nothing. Most Native Americans could care less. They got other things they're worried about and everything. And that's what I figured was pretty much going on. I just wanted to hear a little bit of confirmation to make sure that, I was on the right track. Because I know I've seen specials about, what goes on as far as the reservation goes, as far as today's Native Americans and everything else, and some of the grievances that they have, as far as what's going on in this country and everything. Like, I keep my eyes open. I try to watch everything moving, and I hear them talking, and for good reason, and I'm dying to ask some of our guests this question if this applies to them, but I've heard this before, and I've seen it, and I want to know if this applies to them. They are way more offended by a $20 bill than they would ever be offended about a Redskins name, about a sports team name. Do you know how many Native Americans despise Andrew Jackson? And for good reason? I've seen Native Americans change a 20, refuse to take a 20 because Andrew Jackson is on that bill. And for people who don't know why the Native Americans could possibly feel this way towards Andrew Jackson is the one that put the Native Americans on the Trail of Tears and had them march down there with hundreds of thousands of Native Americans. And they still hold animosity, like I said, once again, for good reason, towards Andrew Jackson. And they are way more upset about a $20 bill. Now, if people want to sit up here and they want to do something for the Native Americans, if they want to sit up here and they want to, try to compromise for some of the wrongs done in the past to the Native American community, why don't you guys start with taking Andrew Jackson off the $20 bill? We can start there. Now, there's a whole bunch of things we can do. I could go on for thousands of hours about everything we can do to try to correct all the wrongs done to the Native Americans and the genocide that was done to their race. There's a whole line of things I can line, but let's just start right there. Speech police, why don't we start there? You PC people, do me that favor. right? All you people that's all up in Congress, all huddled up in front of the microphones, sitting up here trying to act like you doing everybody a favor, why don't y'all go across the street or down the block, wherever the mint is, and do me a favor and take Andrew Jackson off that $20 bill for me? Get off y'all soapbox and actually do something. That's something you can do. You ain't got to ask to do that. You can just go down there and just do it. Pass the bill, do it. Throw somebody else up there. I don't care who it is. Why don't we start there? Then we can go back. Then we can get, if we want to get deeper, we can also start giving them back some of that land that we stole from them. But no, that's too hard. That's too hard. That's going to cost too much money. You know what I'm saying? That's money actually coming out of you guys' pockets. You got these Colorado senators and everything else yapping off to Congress about what we need to do with our name and everything, but they got high schools in his state with the same name, Redskins, and he ain't saying nothing to them. But he's hounding us about our name and what we need to do. Oh, okay, I get it. Then you got, God, don't get me started with this chick, Amanda Blackhorse from the Navajo Nation, and her hypocrisy. Her hypocrisy.
For Amanda Blackhorse and her family, including her 98-year-old grandmother, the fight is personal. She is full Navajo and recently returned to the Navajo Nation in Arizona after getting a master's degree at Washington University in St. Louis.
We call it Hukande, and that's where our sheep camp is. And then
Blackhorse says the term Redskins is a painful reminder of the bloodshed in her people's past. For 7 years, Blackhorse has been traveling to Washington to petition the government to correct what she believes is a decades-old mistake. Blackhorse says the Redskins' name and logos are racist, and their trademarks should never have been registered. She wants the trademarks canceled. A decision is expected soon.
This will show that you cannot trademark negative terminology, and you cannot use that and put it out there and stereotype Native people and make a profit off of it. And if it was any other ethnic group, there would be an outrage. And the fact that this is okay to do to us, that it is okay to mock our culture and to call us derogatory names, it's not okay.
In recent years, dozens of high schools and colleges, including St. John's and Miami of Ohio, have dropped Native American mascots. But about 50 miles from where Blackhorse lives, there is a Navajo school still using the exact name and logo Blackhorse considers racist. But about 50 miles from where Blackhorse lives, there is a Navajo school still using the exact name and logo Blackhorse considers racist. But about 50 miles from where Blackhorse lives, there is a Navajo school still using the exact name and logo Blackhorse considers racist. Some here say the Redskins name actually promotes a sense of pride. There has been no push to change it.
There's a high school not too far from here, Red Mesa High School. It's on the Navajo Nation. You know what their mascot is? How do you make all of this make sense when you're fighting something in Washington, D.C., yet there's still a school right here on the Navajo Nation that uses the term?
I think that they are trying to see it in a positive sort of way.
The exact same logo and exact same name as our team. 50 miles from her house. But she's traveling all the way on the other side of the country to mess with a sports team because they got a quote-unquote racial slur that she can't even get changed, or ain't even trying to get changed, I should say, 50 miles miles from her own house. Clean up your own backyards, people, before you start getting on this little crusade about what's a slur and what's not a slur. Clean up your own backyard before you get on this national stage trying to program all these little stupid robots out here that's just dying to have some malware plugged into their system. Stupid robots that believe everything the television tells them. Constantly watching this liberal station, ESPN, BSPN is what I like to call them, constantly shoving in your face about how racist our name is. Targeting the black people. Why? Because black people are very easily, and trust me, I'm black, I can say this. Black people are very easily riled up when race talk is about. Especially when it has anything to do with a white person doing another race wrong. Black people are sympathetic to that topic. And they're going to jump aboard, and they target the black people because they know that that's what's going to happen. They target the gay community. Why? Because, once again, the gay community is sympathetic to people being discriminatory towards another group of people. So they target them. They target the Latinos. Why? Same reason. The Asians, same reason. And these are people that don't even know the full story. All they know is they saw it on ESPN, so God forbid they're lying. It must be the truth. It has to be the truth. Jemele Hill told me it's true. It must be true. Oh, God, speaking of Jemele Hill, I got to touch on Jemele Hill. Oh, God, this woman gets on my nerves. Oh, my God. She about to have me cussing up on here. This woman, with her, God, she gets up on here, and she always bringing up George Preston Marshall, original owner of the team. Back when we was the Boston Braves, and he first changed the name to the Boston Redskins, and we moved to Washington, D.C. What people fail to understand is we was actually originally called the Boston Braves, and at the time when we was called the Boston Braves, the Boston area had a National League team that went defunct and no longer around that was also called the Boston Braves. He changed the name so people could decipher the difference between the football team and the baseball team. That was his original meaning for changing the name. That was his reasoning behind it. People, and bugs me out, and she makes it seem like he named the name Redskins as some kind of joke, like he was trying to troll the Native Americans or something. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Because I don't care what ethnic group you are. If you own a professional sports team, why in Sam hell would you ever name your team as a race, some kind of slur or some kind of disrespect towards a race of people that you might feel is inferior to you? That makes no sense. If you're going to name your team, you're going to name your team after something that's strong, that's powerful, that represents something. You're not going to name your team a racial slur to troll somebody. That makes absolutely no sense. Hold up.
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
So she gets on her soapbox, right? And then she tries to act like, okay, George Preston Marshall was once told people that he didn't want to draft Ernie Davis because he'll draft a black person when a white person gets drafted by the Harlem Globetrotters. Now, mind you, let's peel this back for a second. George Preston Marshall absolutely made a statement like that. Matter of fact, not like that. He made an exact statement. That was the exact statement he made. But what this dumb chick doesn't realize is the fact that George Preston Marshall didn't say that about Ernie Davis. He said that when the topic of integrating the NFL came into play, which was some years, was actually a topic some years before Ernie Davis was even in college, he made that statement. Now, the funny thing about this is she's getting her information from a movie, an inaccurate movie at that, which will be called The Express, which is the life story of Ernie Davis. And in this inaccurate movie, the timeline was completely messed up. They completely made George Preston Marshall seem like he said that about Ernie Davis, and he refused to draft Ernie Davis to the Washington Redskins. And now she sees this in a movie, and she carries her little dumb behind up on ESPN and starts spewing this little crap to everybody and programming all these little dumb robots out here who's walking around right now thinking they Michael Jackson or back in the 70s with their little dance robot and all over the place. The Redskins is racist. Get out of here, you dumb bird. You can't be serious. He didn't say that about Ernie Davis. And the funny thing about it is, guess who he drafted in I believe it was, the 1964 draft? Guess who he drafted? George Preston Marshall drafted Ernie Davis. So Jemele Hill, you might want to get your facts straight, because he drafted Ernie Davis. Ernie Davis didn't want to play for George Preston Marshall because of statements he said in the past, not statements he made about himself, but statements that he's made in the past. So he didn't want to play for George Preston Marshall, and then George Preston Marshall made a trade to the Cleveland Browns, and he traded Ernie Davis with guess who? Bobby Mitchell, who was the first black player ever for the Washington Redskins. And yes, George Preston Marshall was the last person to integrate the NFL. Oh, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, Peter King. Peter King, I'm impressed. I'm so impressed. The Washington Redskins was the last team to integrate. I'm impressed. All the other teams in the NFL integrated before us. All of them got their token blacks on their team before we did. What the damn do? Guess what them same NFL owners that got them black people on them teams before us was doing while we was the last team to get a black player? Guess what they was doing? They wasn't even allowing them same token blacks. There was only like 1 or 2 per team. That's it. Let's not act like there was this big influx of black players in the NFL. Now, the AFL is something different. The AFL had a ton of black people on their teams, but that was only because of necessity. Because they needed to fill up their rosters because they was all a bunch of new teams in a new league, and they had to go out to the black colleges and the Gramblins and the Morehouses and all that stuff. They had to go there to get their players just so they could fill their roster. So let's not act like that all, like all these other NFL owners and everything else was all, different mindsets than George Preston Marshall. You will be fooling yourself. You will be fooling yourself. Stop playing, people. Stop playing. Your owners felt like that, too. Just because George Preston Marshall had enough nuts to get in front of the stage, in front of the microphones or the tape recorders back then, and actually make a statement like that, don't feel like your owners wasn't co-signing it just because they got a black player first. They little token black first. Stop it. Stop it, Jemele Hill. Stop it. You can't be serious. Then you got the NBA. The NBA, oh my God, let me get to the NBA. The NBA. You got some nerve. You got some nerve, NBA. You think people don't see the smoke and mirrors that you try to pull over everybody's eyes? You really think people didn't see the smoke and mirrors you pulled over everybody's eyes? You sit up here, there was a commercial that was supposed to air during the Super Bowl made by some Native Americans from a website. I don't want to misquote the website. I believe it's changethemascot.org. They had a commercial spot that it was trying to get played on the Super Bowl, which is the biggest national stage you could ever possibly have anything advertised on. And for people that don't know anything about advertisement, that is like the biggest billboard you can ever have, is the Super Bowl stage. But they was unable to come up with the proper amount of money to air the video. which is good because nobody wanted to see their little smear campaign anyway. But guess what happens? What happens is, wait, the NBA is going through a whole bunch of smack right now. They going through it right now. They got this whole Donald Sterling fiasco that's completely taken over their whole NBA playoffs. More people are talking about Donald Sterling than what happened in Game 3 last night. They got to clean up on all this. Do something. Oh, wait. Oh, everything will be okay. Donald said he'll sell the team. Let's not worry about it. We ain't going to worry about it. Yo, don't worry about it, Adam. Adam Silver, don't worry about it. We got everything covered. She's going to sell the team. A couple of days later. Oh, wait, Adam, hold up, Adam. We got a problem, Adam. We got a serious problem. Adam, like, what's going on? His PR people like, listen, Donald is on his soapbox again. Donald is refusing to sell the team. He says you guys, what y'all doing is unconstitutional. He says you guys are dead wrong. Oh God, Adam Silver's like, oh God, what am I going to do? Oh God, we gotta do PR spins. We gotta do some kind of damage control. We gotta think of something. We gotta try to fix this. I'm tired of all this racist stuff. We gotta try to get this racist stigma off this league. Wait, hold up. Yeah, a Redskins commercial that was trying to get aired during the Super Bowl that was unable to air because they didn't have enough money? Adam Silver like, yeah, what are you getting at? NBA PR people like, hold up, wait, why don't we do this? We have 7 games to kill because we're going to end up taking this, we're going to rig this to go to 7. So we're going to rig this series to go to 7, but in the middle of the series, right? Right in the middle of the series, we're going to sit up here. We're going to, right in the middle of the Game 3, we're going to air this commercial, and we're not even going to charge these people. And then we're going to take all the attention off us and throw it back on the Redskins. That's what we're going to do. And sure enough, halftime comes around. Who comes out on halftime to talk to all the people at the desk during the halftime report? Adam Silver. And of course, Adam Silver, he got to put a whole bunch of spin on everything because Donald Sterling, just had made the announcement and all that. So he got to put a spin on everything. He's doing damage control. He's doing what he's doing, everything else, letting everybody know it's okay. He's still going to be selling the team. Don't boycott us. The players don't do this and everything else. We still got anything else. And right after he got done talking to all that down Sterling, guess what airs? Yes, the smear campaign. Right after he got finished talking about Down Sterling. Oh, God. Adam, listen. Adam, again, I'm going to tell you, like I told Amanda Blackheart, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told the Colorado senator or congressman, whoever he is. Clean up your backyard first. You have enough things to be worried about. Instead of getting in the middle of NFL business that don't even pertain to you. You are so lucky, Adam Silver, that I'm not Roger Goodell. Because if I was Roger Goodell, because y'all been taking shots at the NFL for the last 3 months. You, Mark Cuban, all you little clowns, been taking little small shots at the NFL for months. You're lucky I'm not Roger Goodell. Because I swear, I would have sat up there and I would have made a nice little long NBA smear campaign montage and air it right in the middle of the Super Bowl on the biggest billboard that you could ever see that gets 3 times the amount of views as all 7 of your NBA games that you're about to rig to get played put together. You can't be serious. You're trying to throw smoke and mirrors right now because I heard what Donald Sterling said. Donald Sterling was like, I'm not going out like that. Y'all trying to take my team. I tell you what, y'all might get my team, but I'm taking every last one of you guys down with me. I'm taking all you guys down with me. I'm ratting on all you guys because I'm not the only one who think like this. And I'm taking all you dudes down. And Mark Cuban on the side like, see, I told you. I told you this was going to happen. This is why I was going to vote to keep Sterling in. He's over there playing the I told you so game. Adam Silver over here trying to do damage. It's just all a bunch of bull crap. Listen,